Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into Tesla's latest earnings call. And let me tell you, it was about way more than just the numbers. What we actually got was a blueprint for a massive pivot, a huge strategic shift. They're moving from just being a car company to becoming an AI and robotics company. So let's jump right in. And right away, the focus of the call was crystal clear. This wasn't going to be your typical chat about car sales. No, this was a full-on declaration. Elon Musk basically said, I think Optimus will be our biggest product, probably the biggest product ever. I mean, wow. That single, incredibly bold claim about this robot, it really set the stage for everything else they talked about. So the big question is, how are they actually planning to pull this off? Well, their whole strategy, as they laid it out, really comes down to two huge interconnected pillars. Think of it like this. First, you've got the brain. That's the AI, the software for their autonomous vehicles. And second, you've got the body, the physical form, which is this humanoid robot. All right, let's dig into the brain first. This whole journey to a fully autonomous robotaxi network, it's actually a really fascinating story. You've got hardware holding things back, you've got these super ambitious software rewrites, and then this plan to roll it out that's, well, let's just say they're being very cautious. And this is where we got a bit of a bombshell, a hard truth they finally came out and said. They confirmed a huge bottleneck. If you have a Tesla with what's called Hardware 3, it just can't get to that ultimate goal of unsupervised full self-driving. It's not a software problem, it's a physical limit. It just doesn't have the processing power. We're talking only 1/8 the memory bandwidth of the newer Hardware 4. And that bandwidth is absolutely critical for all the heavy-duty AI thinking the car needs to do. Okay, so for the cars that do have the right hardware, what's the plan? Well, here's their software roadmap. They're starting with their current version, 14.3. But the real game changer is what's next, version 15, which they described as a complete overhaul, a total rewrite from the ground up. And only after that is solid will they even think about rolling out unsupervised driving. And they made it clear it's going to be a slow, gradual process, totally obsessed with safety, probably going city by city, making sure it's perfect before expanding. All right, so that's the brain. Now let's talk about the second pillar, the body. We're talking about the Optimus robot. And this, folks, is where things start to feel like they're jumping straight out of science fiction and onto the factory floor. Now, Musk spent a lot of time on the call just managing expectations about this. He kept bringing up this idea of the production S-curve. You can see what he means here. It's this idea that when you start making something totally new, the beginning is just painfully slow. He said you have to solve something like 10,000 unique problems. So yeah, the start is going to be a crawl before you can even think about sprinting. And get this, the timeline to even start that slow crawl is just incredibly aggressive. They are literally tearing down the entire production line for the Model S and the Model X at their Fremont factory. And in its place, they plan to build a brand new one just for Optimus. And they want to do it in a matter of months. Musk himself called the pace insanely fast. It's a huge move. So, making a pivot this big, building AI brains, building robotic bodies, that's not cheap, right? So what's the price tag for this massive bet on the future? How much is this all going to cost? And there it is. $25 billion. That's what they expect their capital expenditures to be over just the next 2 years. Let that sink in. This isn't just funding for a new project. This is a full-blown, massive investment phase. They're basically retooling the entire company for this new AI-driven future. You might be wondering, where does $25 billion even go? Well, it's pretty much funding the entire foundation of this new vision. We're talking new factories. We're talking about building out the insane amount of computing power you need for a robotaxi network. It's going into R&D labs for designing their own chips. And of course, it's about actually launching these brand new products like Optimus and the semi-truck. Okay, so who's footing the bill for this $25 billion bet? Well, it all comes back to their core business, the one that got them here in the first place, the cars and the energy side of the company. That's the engine that's funding all of these incredibly ambitious plans for the future. So even though everyone was talking about the future, you can't forget about the present. And right now, their core business is a bit of a mixed bag, but it's the foundation for everything. Demand for their cars is absolutely surging in places like France and Germany, which is great. Their auto margins are looking better, but, and this is a big but, the single biggest thing holding back their growth right now is just not being able to make enough battery packs. That's the bottleneck. And this quote from the call, it really just sums the whole thing up perfectly. They said they're building a future of amazing abundance, but And this is the key part. That requires not just a lot of investment, but an immense amount of execution. You can tell the leadership team is being very realistic here. They know this grand vision isn't a sure thing. It all comes down to one word: execution. Can they actually pull off these ridiculously complex and expensive projects? Which really leaves us with the one big question, right? Tesla is clearly saying they're not just a car company anymore. They are placing this massive, multi-billion-dollar bet that they can become a world leader in AI and robotics. So, are we watching the very beginning of the next great tech revolution? Or is this a gamble that's just so huge, so audacious, that it could risk the entire company? I guess we'll find out. The execution over these next couple of years, that's going to tell the whole story.